Welcome back to Discovery on Demand. Today we're in Plaza Midwood at Battle Axe Throwing with Master Axe Thrower Corben Decker. Corben, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I have been throwing axes for about 5 years now. I've thrown all over North America in almost every state. I've also thrown in Canada, and you can see me on ESPN throwing with my best friend Sam Carter.
So Corben, what is axe throwing and how did you get into it?
So axe throwing is a bit of a weird sport. There are two different leagues that you can actually throw in. One has a step, one has no step. The no step is kind of similar to throwing darts. With the step, it's a little bit more like chopping wood. You actually get to tie, you get to go from a regular hatchet to a large felling hatchet for tiebreakers, so it's a bit exciting. It is interesting, as you can see behind us, you have different rings that you're aiming for to try and score on.
So Corben, obviously you're throwing an axe, which is a projectile motion.
Projectile motion is the motion of an object thrown into the air, subject to the acceleration of gravity. The object is called a projectile, and its path is called its trajectory.
Can you kind of walk us through what you're thinking about?
So a lot of my time that I spend with axe throwing is actually during practice. I try and get something that's comfortable, that works for me, where we were talking about those styles before. So whenever I'm actually throwing in a competition, I'm not thinking about anything. That's the secret. I'm focused on only the point that I'm aiming at. I try and find a small point that I'm throwing at. However, during practice, I'm adjusting wrist angle, finger angle, elbow location, shoulder location, and trying to get all of that inertia in one direction.
Inertia is the tendency of an object in motion to remain in motion, or an object at rest to remain at rest, until acted upon by a force.
You don't want any variation. You want basically a two-plane axis if you can. You don't want to get into a third axis and have that off-angle rotation, because it makes it a lot harder to stick in the board. Whenever I throw, I don't use my shoulder, I don't use my elbow, and I try and use as little of my wrist as possible, and I'm just throwing by stepping. I'm using my body moving towards the board to generate a moment of inertia, and then I just stop my moment of inertia and let that transfer into the axe and rotate. Since I didn't use my shoulder, I didn't use my elbow, and I tried to use as little as wrist as possible, the axe stays nice and vertical and it goes towards the point that I was aiming at. So George, we're going to learn how to axe throw. I'm going to teach you how to throw one-handed. You said you played a lot of different sports, which means you have a lot of different things that you can lean on wherever you're doing this. So you're also a physics person, which is pretty exciting because physics is the key to axe throwing. So what we're going to work with today is the Ace Hardware, the hammer hatchet I was telling you. It's pretty cheap, pretty great rotation. You're going to start with a full grip. Make sure you keep it nice and gentle, nice and soft. You want to be able to feel it in basically the meat of the back of your hand. And we're going to figure out how far from the target you need to be in order to throw. Okay. So give us your first throw. So you're going to take a step, bump, and release. Hey, we got a stick. Not bad. Everything is going to stay in front of you, and you're just going to take a nice step. So 1 foot behind, 1 foot in front.
And then
I want you to just walk and throw.
Okay.
You got a bullseye.
Thank you for joining us today here on Discovery on Demand.
We'll catch you later.